Hey guys, Game.film here. I just wanted to make a video about Palestine, what's been happening before and after October 7th, and the ongoing genocide that's happening right now. To start off, I just want to rant a little bit. Forgive me, I'm kind of reading a script. I'm not very good at keeping my eye on the camera at all times, but I had a friend ask me, like, how are we letting Israel get away with this? And I replied, well, the United States and Israel, we're buddies, right? Israel is in a very strategic location, and they are there to keep an eye on things for us in the Middle East, right? And the United States is an empire, and they're always looking to expand, right? If there is a country that's not opening themselves up for the mega transnational corporations, if you aren't making it safe for capital investment, we're going to go in there and raise hell, bombing, funding torture and death squads, economic sanctions, and the more, you name it. Now, when we invade people, there are going to be resistance fighters and guerrillas, right? Looking to defend themselves. And this is a major problem for the U.S. and its partners, right? Which leads me to my second point why Israel and the U.S. are buddies. Israel has been keeping over 2 million Palestinians in an open-air concentration camp for decades, okay? And obviously there is resistance from the people there. And my point is, like, this is a whole playground and money-making machine for the military-industrial complex. Plus, they can study how to defeat a resistance movement. They can test out the latest tanks, missiles, drones, latest surveillance equipment, torture, kidnappings, etc. I hope this rant made sense, but I'd like to move on to the next part, and I'm going to show you some clips of what Israelis think of the Palestinian people. The first few clips are from Abby Martin and Dan Cohen. They do great work. They went to Israel and they interviewed some Israelis on the street. Take a look.
I don't think there's any answer to it.
Really?
There's only one way, I would carpet bomb them.
You would carpet bomb them?
It's the only way you could deal with it. Or try to stop them a different way. It never worked.
You mean all Arabs or Gaza or?
I believe that I hope to believe they're not, but I do think they are, because I don't trust them. You can't trust them, and that's the only way I believe that. The only way is just to stop it completely.
I think we should give them a country. If you're doing any problem, you just go in there to give them a country, and then it's going to be a war between countries. If they're going to throw rockets, we're going to throw one big one and done.
Jews shouldn't marry Arabs.
Shouldn't marry Arabs.
Yeah.
Why do you feel strongly about that?
Because Jews is a special nation that God gave it to the Jews, and we don't want Jews to get mixed up together with a different nation.
Make a פיגועים and we need to kill Arabs.
Okay, next I want to show you some clips of my friends at Right Brain TV. They made their own before October 7th video. It's about 17 minutes long, and I clipped some parts of just that, what Israelis think of the Palestinian people, okay? Here's a few more clips, but this is from there. They stayed up all night, man, for days, weeks, making these clips, and this is their footage that they gathered. So.
And the people back home should understand is that the army, the way it looks, even if it says it doesn't, we have dozens of testimonies that show exactly the opposite. Soldiers look at Palestinians in a way not as human beings.
כל מי שירצה לפגוע בי, אני אפגע בו בחזרה. ומבחינתי המושג מידתיות חייב להפסיק להתקיים. אז אני אגיד לך משהו שמאוד לא נעים לומר אותו. אם זאת אמא ישראלית אחת בוכה, או 1,000 אמהות פלסטיניות בוכות, אז ש1,000 אמהות פלסטיניות יבכו.
That's a racist policy for a government to have.
אנחנו יותר מדי רחמנים, הגיע הזמן שנפסיק להיות.
אתה יודע ערבי?
מפה, מנון, רק יהודים.
למה?
קפטן, החליט.
Yeah, get the out of the country. This is Jewish country only. We don't need Muslims here.
All right, next, I'm going to show you 4 clips of the living conditions and what Apartheid Israel means.
They are an intent by one group to dominate the other, systematic oppression by one racial group over another, and one or more inhumane acts, like denying people the right to leave and to return to their country, expropriation of landed property, and the creation of separate reserves and ghettos. So let's see if any of these apply to Israel's rule over Palestinians. In Gaza, Palestinians have no freedom of movement and are under a complete Israeli blockade. Israel no longer has soldiers inside Gaza, but it controls every aspect of life from the outside. People in Gaza have no civil or political rights. They've got no say in the Israeli government that controls them. Palestinians in the West Bank also have very limited freedom of movement, with their population divided into 165 disconnected cantons, cut off by Israeli military checkpoints, walls, settlements, and other infrastructure. They also have no civil or political rights in Israel.
In the Gaza Strip, electricity shortages have already pushed hospitals near collapse, forcing doctors to deny patients basic medical procedures. Now imagine you have a disease like cancer. You have to get through this gate, as well as the heavily militarized Israeli-controlled border fence on the other side, just to receive life-saving treatment. According to a new report released by human rights groups, last year the Israelis denied a record amount of permits, leading to the deaths of over 50 Gaza residents.
According to a joint study released by several human rights groups, including Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and Gaza's Al-Mazan Center for Human Rights, Israel approved only 54% of permits for medical appointments in 2017, the lowest rate since the World Health Organization began keeping track of the data.
In another world, this place would be known for its beautiful beaches. But standing on the Mediterranean in this reality, one's greeted by an unusual smell. That's because due to electricity shortages, it's increasingly impossible for Gaza to properly treat its sewage. So it's pumped raw, straight into the sea. Residents tell me when the waves are calm, waste spreads on the water as far as the eye can see.
So that seashore and the sea is the only location where people can...
Just that pipe right there was raw sewage pouring out into the sea, and it just smelled absolutely horrible there.
And go in Gaza. It is closed from every side. Sea is the only location. So you can imagine more than 90% of the Gaza seashore is not suitable for people just to stand on it.
There's the 200 illegal Jewish settlements that have been built across the West Bank as well. At the same time, thousands of Palestinian homes have been demolished or are under threat of demolition, having been built without permits because Israel rejects most Palestinian building applications. Meanwhile, in the Negev desert, the Israeli government wants to maximize the land available for Jewish development. So it has tried to force Palestinian Bedouin citizens into small townships by demolishing their homes and not allowing them to connect to the water and power grids. One village, El Araqib, has been demolished more than 180 times.
Now, since we're talking about bulldozers, I'm going to show you a couple clips of Rachel Corrie, an American that was bulldozed by an IDF soldier.
It's been 20 years since Israeli forces drove a bulldozer over and killed this U.S. activist. Rachel Corrie was a defender of Palestinian rights who volunteered as a human shield for families facing forced expulsion.
In the time that I've been here, children have been shot and killed. On the 30th of January, the Israeli military bulldozed the 2 largest water wells, destroying over half of Rafah's water supply. Every few days, if not every day, houses are demolished here.
We are on international
When the bulldozer crushed her, Rachel became the first American martyr to die in Palestine at the age of 23.
Now, if you Google Israeli versus Palestinian deaths, you'll find some disturbing numbers. Operation Cast Lead is a war you can Google. The 2014 Gaza war you can Google. I'd also Google Israel mowing the lawn. They feel the need every so often to get the population count down. It's really sick and disturbing. Okay, so now I want to talk about some lies and propaganda that I've been told since October 7th. One of the first lies was by a CNN reporter named Sarah Sidner. She took a story from one random person that Hamas beheaded 40 babies and she ran with it. About a week later, she retracted her story. But the damage had already been done. You repeat the lie on TV multiple times, and the general population that follows corporate news doesn't question it. Now, on October 7th, Hamas said they only went after military targets, okay? But corporate news says otherwise, that they went after all civilians, right? The first estimate of the Hamas attack was approximately 1,400, okay? But then about a month later, the tally mysteriously went down to about 1,200. There was no reason for the revision. Next, I would like you all to Google Israeli gunships October 7th. You'll find a few articles. I'm reading one from the Electronic Intifada. According to a police source, the investigation also shows that an IDF combat helicopter that arrived at the scene and fired at terrorists there apparently also hit some festival participants. This investigation, reported by Haaretz, appears to be the first direct Israeli official acknowledgement that Israeli forces killed some of their own civilians on and after October 7th. Israeli Air Force has admitted that it sent up more than 24 attack helicopters, which fired huge amounts of heavy cannon shells and American-made Hellfire missiles on October 7th, even though in many cases the pilots could not tell Palestinians apart from Israeli civilians. Shoot at everything, one squadron leader reportedly told his men. Israeli government spokesperson Mark Rajiv admitted, perhaps unintentionally, in an MSNBC interview that on October 7th, Israeli forces burned to death hundreds of people in an indiscriminate fire that did not distinguish Palestinian fighters from Israeli civilians. And if you look at photos, guys, there are cars, dozens and dozens of cars that are absolutely torched, all right? Twisted metal. And like Hamas doesn't have they don't have gunships, excuse me. They don't have Hellfire missiles. So next thing I would like you guys to Google is Israel tanks killed civilians October 7th or something along those lines, right? The tank fired 2 light shells at the house and only one person emerged alive, Hadass Dagan. It was not clear how many of the other hostages had been killed by Hamas or by IDF fire. The families are also asking for an investigation like ASAP and not till the war is over. You'll also see mass rape stories that Hamas was doing, but there's zero physical evidence and no rape kits, okay? That's another lie. This is it, y'all. I totally forgot about this one. This is the case cracker, man. Look what they found. A perfect copy of Mein Kampf. Not only that it was in the main hub, it was on the main bases of the terrorists. It was found in a children's room, guys. My God. Now I want to talk about the death, destruction, and genocide Israel is doing. I pointed out to a liberal about how many Palestinians have died, and the reply was, well, how do you know those numbers are true? Hamas is using them as human shields and they kill their own people. This is an absolute garbage statement, a disgusting one at that. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's take a look at Israel's Air Force. They have a freaking Air Force, man. F-15 Eagle, 84 in service. F-15E Strike Eagle, 25 in service. F-16s, 175. A freaking stealth multi-role fighter, 39 of those, okay? Not to mention reconnaissance, transport helicopters, attack helicopters, more aircraft that's just for training, and then an entire arsenal of drones, okay? You want to know how many freaking aircraft like this Hamas has? 0. They don't have an air force. Okay? So this article is from December 15th, and I think about 25,000 bombs have already been dropped, okay? Now, And this is like a month later. God knows how much it is now. But, so according to reports, okay, 40 to 45% of the bombs that Israel has dropped in Gaza were unguided, so-called dumb bombs, as opposed to precision munitions, which are much more accurate. The IDF strikes military targets of the Hamas terrorist organization based on high-quality intelligence, while using high-quality munitions that are operated by skilled pilots and advanced systems. Okay, guys, you know, like the Iraq War and Obama's, and he had like a 90% civilian casualty rate with drone strikes. They track one guy's cell phone who has like a similar gait to some suspected terrorist, and then they'll throw one of these unguided bombs and then kill everyone around him. Okay, that's what they're doing here. Okay, in this article as well, they're interviewing a retired lieutenant. This guy's a chief of high-value targeting at the Defense Intelligence Agency. He used to be. And he's like, well, honestly, I'm shocked, he says, why the 45% are unguided bombs. And here's the kicker, y'all. Unguided or dumb bombs, you can miss your target by like 100 feet, okay? With precision guided bombs, a 3-meter air. And they're not using precision guided bombs most of the time. And this guy, he's very concerned, as I was saying earlier. I forgot to tell you guys, Palestine is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Hello. And like, look, in Libya, 2011, 100% were precision guided. So it's like, why are they using dumb bombs? It's because Israel does not care, dude. This is an extermination. This is genocide. They want them all wiped out and displaced. Okay, I got one more article for you guys about bombs. During the first 6 weeks of the war in Gaza, Israel routinely used one of its biggest and most destructive bombs in areas it designated safe for civilians. So of these 2,000-pound bombs, they found 208 craters. Okay, there are likely to have been many cases that were not captured. And of course, an Israeli military spokesman said the priority was destroying Hamas. Since October, the U.S. has also sent more than 5,000 of these MK-84 munitions. Okay, we're getting towards the end of this video, but I just got a couple more articles to share with you guys. One from PBS NewsHour, and you can just Google Israel intelligence failure, okay? You'll get a few articles, but this is the one I clicked on. Israeli officials repeatedly dismiss warning signs before Hamas attack, this report claims. According to a new report from the New York Times, Israeli intelligence had obtained more than a year ago a 40-page document detailing virtually the exact attack plan that Hamas executed on October 7th. Okay, now you can Google Hamas money, Israel Hamas money, and you'll get a few articles. This is one from the Times again. Israeli security officials scored a major intelligence coup in 2018. Secret documents that laid out in intricate detail what amounted to a private equity fund that Hamas used to finance its operations. The documents, which the New York Times reviewed, were a potential roadmap for choking off Hamas's money and thwarting its plans. The agents who obtained the records shared them inside their own government and in Washington. Nothing happened. They have a quote from a gentleman. Everyone is talking about failures of intelligence on October 7th, but no one is talking about the failure to stop the money, said Udi Levy, a former chief of Mossad's Economic Warfare Division. It's the money that allowed this. The same gentleman recalled briefing Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu personally in 2015. He says, I can tell you for sure that I talked to him about this, but he didn't care that much about it. Mr. Netanyahu's Mossad chief shut down Mr. Levy's team, Task Force Harpoon, that focused on disrupting the money flowing to groups, including Hamas. Okay, so you guys all remember 9/11, right? And how the U.S. allowed those attacks to happen. We needed a new boogeyman, like the war on terror, to keep the money train, the military-industrial complex, and business, and a reason to keep expanding the empire into the Middle East. This is some similarities to October 7th, okay? Israel needed a boogeyman to have a reason to genocide Palestinians and to take the land and resources from them. But I'll also add that Israel bombed Palestine, Syria, and Lebanon in the same day last month. And they're continuing those bombings in that assault today. These Zionists want it all, man. And that's what this is all about. Okay, this video's gone on for way too long, but there's just so much information to share, man. Now, a lot of you lefties that follow me, you probably know a bunch of this. This is not news to y'all, but I hope, like, my friends and family that are watching this, my gamer friends, film people that aren't too familiar, I hope, like, you know, you've learned something and now you can educate your friends and family. And the Palestinian people, you know, they need your help to debunk all these lies, man. And I better not catch you guys making excuses voting for Biden again, because this is just inexcusable. If you guys are new to this channel, I'm definitely, you know, I love to talk games, movies, but I'm trying to blend, like, you know, current news events and, like, imperialism, U.S. foreign policy, and just because that's what I'm passionate about. I mean, I might not grow the best with other channels, but it's like this is important. So I'm not gonna plug any socials, man. Just get the word out, okay? And yeah, stay informed, guys. Peace.